Is a corpus of 5 crore rupees really enough for retirement? Or is relying on a single number actually risky? If you need 1.25 lakh rupees a month today, how far will 5 crore really take you? What is a sustainable withdrawal rate in retirement? And what are the risks most people underestimate when planning for retirement? Hello and welcome to Investors Hangout. The series is brought to you by Aditya, Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund and Value Research. Now today's question is simple, but one that worries almost every serious investor. Is 5 crore rupees enough for my retirement? For some, it sounds like unimaginable wealth. For others, it is simply inadequate. To separate myth from math and reality from aspiration, we have with us our CEO, Dhirendra Kumar. Welcome, Dhirendra.
Thank you.
Let's begin today's episode with, if someone wants to retire today with 5 crore rupees, is that enough?
Whether it is enough or not, or less than enough, or much more than enough, is entirely a function of, do you have any additional source of revenue, any income? Are you getting some pension or a rental or some such thing? The other is, what is the return on your investment? Which is a function of where that money is invested. How comfortable are you with it? Even the expenses bit, it's entirely variable. It entirely depends on what is your lifestyle. How much do you want to improve it, or how much do you want to reduce it? Or how much of it is actually negotiable? What is your health condition? Because that is going to be one of the biggest factor in determining that what your expense structure will be. Maybe you have a home, maybe you don't have any dependent, but your health is something which can drag. And for many Indians, poverty is just away from a hospitalization. It can drag you by many years. And likewise, many of these expenses we had not anticipated. Also, as you get older, you don't have the insurance coverage available unless you worked for the government, where government safety net is still available. For the central government or the state government employees, there might be something available. Then comes is there any big expenditure still outstanding? So, because all these variables are very individual dependent, it could be unique for all of you. So you will have to do this assessment yourself. If you have any other source of revenue, if you have any other source of income, and your lifestyle is, reasonable, and you just need to care for some kind of periodic big spend that comes your way, then it could be, even a 50 lakh rupees could be good enough. So it is entirely dependent on that. But let me just give you the perspective of what can 5 crore do for you. For 5 crore yielding 4%, will get you 20 lakh rupees per annum, which translates into something little more than 1.5 lakh rupees pre-tax. And if it is coming in the form of a capital gains, then think of it like 20 lakh rupees on which you have to pay long-term capital gains tax.
Okay. But isn't relying on a number like 5 crore risky?
5 crore can be risky if you are not going to put it work in a manner that it will be able to generate return for you. At the same time, will grow in a manner to beat inflation, or at least to match inflation, so that it can produce income or produce return, which will keep be in a state where it can, with your rising income requirement with inflation, because inflation is not coming to an end. It will keep rising, which means that if you need a lakh of rupees today, you will need something more than that a couple of years down the line, and then even more few years down the line, and that is why your capital also must grow. So when I'm taking an assumption of 6% today, I'm hoping that your return on investment on an average will be reasonably more than that. It could be 8-9%, or it could be 10-12%. And that is a function of careful selection of your investment, being disciplined about it, and being very disciplined about your withdrawal as well. This will also amount to being disciplined with your withdrawal in a manner that in a linear, you don't take so much money out that your capital gets impaired. So preserving your capital, growing your capital is just as important as generating return from your capital.
Right. Now let's try and make this more tangible. Suppose someone wants 1.25 lakh rupees in today's terms, 1.25 lakh rupees per month after retirement. How does 5 crore really stack up then?
Broadly speaking, it is very difficult to precisely estimate how much money will be enough. But there are few things which are given. There will be inflation. If you need a lakh of rupees today, you need much more money 12 years from now. At 6%, you need twice as much 12 years from now. So if your retirement is 25 years away, so effectively you need 4 times more money. So if your today's need is a lakh of rupees a month, you have to simply multiply it with 4 times.
Okay.
So you'll need 4 lakh rupees 25 years down the line, adjusted for inflation, which means that you have to target a capital whose 4 to 6% return will translate into 48 lakh rupees per annum. If 4 lakh rupees is going to be your monthly income requirement 25 years down the line, then you have to work towards a capital whose 4 to 6% return on capital will amount to that much. And there will be ups and downs. There will some years it may not be, will not be a straight line. But some years it will be good. Some years it will not be good. Some years it will be much higher. And that is what averages point to. So keep that broad, ballpark thing in your mind, that what you need today, 12 years down the line, you need twice as much. 24 years down the line, you will need 4 times as much.
Right.
And target that income, or target a capital which can support that income.
Right. Now, coming to the withdrawal rate, what withdrawal rate is safe enough to sustain through the retirement?
There is no thumb rule, because it is entirely a function of return on investment. It is entirely a function of the inflation. Today we think in terms of 4 to 6%, because the investment returns generally on a equally weighted or equally divided asset base could well be in the region of 10 to 12%. You depend on half the income that your capital generates, and you leave the remaining half to increase your capital to support a higher income requirement later. So that is how you create a corpus which will be inflation adjusted income producing thing. If inflation comes down, as a result of which expenses come down, and if they come down, then your return on investments will also come down. It is not that all these things will come down and your return on investment will get higher. We have seen it in the past. In India, our Sensex has given a return ranging between 17 to 18%. And we have seen this return while we have seen during a period when there has been a complete turmoil. Here we generated 17% on Sensex over this longer period, while 80% of the Sensex companies disappeared, or they died, or they became irrelevant. During this period, US has been the kind of mecca of free markets, and because inflation has been very low. So Warren Buffett becomes a celebrity investor by generating something like 10 to 12% return every year over 30, 40 years.
Okay, so what is that one risk that most people underestimate while planning for retirement?
Extraordinary expenditure, something which comes your way which you never anticipated, and it turns out to be a big expense. And that, I think, is going to be a healthcare issue. Healthcare expenses can give you a surprise which you may not be prepared for. Second risk could be you yourself panic at the most inopportune time. Assuming somebody retired in 2005 and he did very well, he invested half of his money in equity, half of his money in fixed income, half of his money invested in fixed income was invested in RBI bonds, assuming. And that is when, after 2-3 years, 2008 happened. And the market slipped by nearly 40-45% on the broad index. If half of your money, even after becoming 1.5 or 2 times, it comes down by 50%, it's very normal for investors to panic. It is very difficult to keep your faith. And that is where these 2 things, if they are in place, that you are diversified and you have this asset allocation. So being disciplined and not being driven out of the market at the inopportune time, that is when your losses become permanent.
So to come back to where we started, is 5 crore enough in today's scenario?
If you are going to retire tomorrow and 1.5 lakh rupees monthly income is more than enough, then there could be a portfolio of 5 crore which can more than adequately support that. Retirement is all about careful assessment of your resources, your likely life, the cost of living in your retirement, and little over providing for some of the contingencies that can come your way, and having little more than enough. You can't really be doing a very marginal planning for your retirement.
So aligning money with your life goals carefully, thoughtfully, with discipline.
Yes.
Right. Well, that's all we have for you in today's episode. Keep watching the space for more information. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.